Well, this is it, the final episode of the season, and I couldn't think of a more powerful way to close things than with today's guest, Chris Wilson, the Glasgow-based designer behind Stckmn, a one-man creative studio with a huge heart and loads of fans, including me, who I've met him in real life. He's absolutely lovely. There's a warmth that comes off him that is just something you cannot ignore. He is wonderful. So, on hearing Chris's story, you realise it's one of survival and transformation, from growing up in a working class town to surviving a brutal knife attack and facing burnout, loss and financial struggle. He somehow managed to turn every challenge into a lesson and a reason to keep going. This conversation, which definitely makes me cry at times, is about finding purpose through the mess, about creativity and how it can become a lifeline when life itself feels dark and impossible. It's honest, emotional, and at times very funny. A reminder that even when things feel like they couldn't get any worse, humour and humanity can pull us through. So as I wrap up another incredible season, I hope this episode reminds you that it's okay to take your time to heal, to rebuild, to not be too hard on yourself. Here's my chat with Chris Wilson. Well, I'm with Chris Wilson here today. It's the second time I've seen you in a month, I think, Chris.
I know. It's like we're making a habit of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great seeing you in Glasgow. Quite a kind of emotional moment for me because you and I have been chatting back and forth online for a long time. You're a really supportive, kind character, which doesn't surprise me given what we're going to be talking about today. I often find that people who've been perhaps through a lot, and we all go through ups and downs, but if there are some kinds of special people that can turn tragedy into triumph, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, cool. No, it's great. It was lovely to meet you, and like you say, it's weird. I think this world we live in, where you speak with people online or through messaging and stuff like that. But so it was great to meet you finally in person, and we'd spoken before. Like, I'm a massive fan of like your platform and the podcast, so it's kind of surreal. Like all those hours of listening to you speak to other people, and suddenly now when you're speaking to me, I can answer back. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
It's just me, as you know, we met in Glasgow. I was saying to you, God, I'm so nervous doing all this vlogging stuff. It's all brand new, and then suddenly you were there, and you were just this really kind, warm presence, and it just made me feel so safe. And actually, I've been talking about you behind your back to other people, and they all say the same thing. Everybody loves you, and there's something about you that's really special. Do you think you've been through a lot? Do you think that's kind of taught you compassion and kindness? Is that one of your kind of tools to cope?
Probably. I think work was probably one of the main crutches in terms of trying to cope through things. I think through years of probably not dealing with things correctly and throwing myself into work, kind of using that as a mask to do things. But I think it's like anything else, it's probably stemmed from like a defence mechanism to a point where I use humour a lot, or like deflect from like maybe issues and use kind of jokes and things like that as a way of getting through it. And that in itself probably creates a personality that's quite jokey. Like, I don't take myself too seriously, which probably works. But yeah, I mean, I think there's to look at it as the kind of trauma side of things. And I never used to talk about a lot of things that had kind of happened growing up and stuff like that as traumas. I never done that until I found therapy, and they said these are traumas, and I was like, well, it's just things that have potentially happened through my life that I never really seen it as that. But I suppose that it's like everyone else, it kind of sculpts who you are when you get through these things, makes you more resilient. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you want to talk specific about anything, or I can talk you through my story so far, or how you want to do this.
I mean,
just keep me on a short leash, because I like to chat, and I will go off on tangents constantly. So you rein me in.
Likewise, gosh, I'm terrible. Yeah, I mean, we obviously had a chat off mic, and you kind of hinted at a few things. I suppose we could sort of look back at you being a kid, looking to the stars, hoping one day to do something good with your life. Why don't we start there and see what comes out?
Yeah, so like probably growing up. So I'm from a kind of working class town called Clydebank, just about half an hour outside of Glasgow, and it's quite an industrial city. So it's kind of best known for it had Singer sewing machines were made there. The shipbuilding was massive there. So like it's kind of this kind of industrial working class town, and I think that mentality kind of fed through like with my parents. They were extremely hardworking. Um, and like even as a kid, like we never had a lot of money, but like my mum and dad always made sure we had everything we needed. Um, and even like as a kid, like 12, I was out trying to like earn money. So like we stayed in a council flat that was up a close. So it was like eight within the kind of tenement flat. And every week the bins would get taken out. So basically, up the bins are outside in the back bin shelters, and we get taken down to the back to get emptied. And I'd said to the neighbours, look, if you want like 50 pence a bin, I'll take your bins down every week and bring them back in for you to save them having to do it. So like I was even like an early age, kind of like I must have been about 12, 13, so I was making like £4 a week taking these bins in and out. And
what would that have got you back then? I mean, you're not that old.
Oh well, I'm 42, so I was born in '83. So I'm not massively old, but I'm getting there. But at that age, 12, 13, and you're getting like £4, like that was like back then you could buy a lot. Like that would I would buy Beanos, like I was quite into my comics and stuff like that. Lego, so like you had money where you could buy a lot of stuff at that age.
20p bag of sweets.
That's when a 10 pence mix would be 10 pence and it would be 10 sweets now. Like you're lucky you wouldn't get that now.
That's why we've got 8 fillings in my mouth.
Well, I was the same. And again, it was all the silver ones. I've started going through that phase of paying to get the silver ones out and white ones put in.
Yes, good shout.
But so like silly things like that. Like I've always worked my whole life. Again, I was selling papers outside the bingo, like 5 pence a paper, like to make money. One of my first jobs, like 15, I think I was worked in a newsagent's stacking shelves. And again, it was so weird because where my mum stayed, I think we were like half an hour on the bus into the West End and then like a 20-minute walk. And I would do that at 15 and go to this shop and get paid cash in hand and then get back on the bus and head back like 10, 11 at night. And this is when I was young, so I've always kind of, most people come on the podcast, it was entrepreneurial spirit. It was just, I think I was this idea of we never had a lot of wealth, and there was that fear of, look, I need to contribute, and if I could go out and make a wee bit of money, then I would do that. So I have always had that kind of work ethic of like finding money or jobs where I can, and kind of almost my career's kind of been like that, like changing up who I am and what I'm offering as a discipline and stuff like that to make sure that I'm making money and make a success of it. So I've got quite a varied background in terms of like working freelance, then in-house, then agency, then finally after 10 years running Stckmn on my own. But my background, so basically growing up I was really into like taking things apart. Like I'm really curious about how things worked. My dad,
he was watches and things like that.
Just everything and anything, electrical stuff. Like I just enjoyed this idea of probably like retro games consoles and stuff. Like I would take things apart and then see how it, like, not always successfully fixing them, but like I like the idea of like understanding how things worked. I think it was probably through my dad. He worked as a handyman in a hotel. So he used to buy old cars at the auctions and fix them, like do up the engines and stuff. So like I would do all that as a kid with him. Loved Lego, any form of building and stuff like that, and it really interested me. And I think from him, he would do like electrics, he would do joinery, plumbing. Like he would turn his hand to most things, and that's definitely sculpted who I am in terms of like what I do at the studio. So like I jokingly describe myself as like a polyamorous designer because I'm not married to one discipline. Like I kind of flirt with them all. Like I don't really stick to one thing.
You taught.
I'm like a design slut. Like, but I think it part of that is obviously stemmed from seeing my dad do these different kind of things, and it really excites me, the idea that at one point I'm maybe doing like a branding, and then I'll move to packaging, and then I'll do maybe like a photo composite or something that keeps it exciting for me. But I think certainly that stemmed from doing these kind of different jobs and feeling like trying to find my thing that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So through school it was learning like what design was, because I never really knew, like coming from a kind of public school, like a lot of the time when you go to these job in the what do they call it, the careers advisor, and they say, look, what do you want to be, and like what do you want to go to college, uni, what do you want to actually do? And when I had said to them, look, I love art and I love like creativity and stuff, they're like, oh, well, you could be a painter and decorator, or you can be like, they just didn't get this aspect that there was these roles out there that would encompass all these things that I liked. Had it not been for my art teacher, Mr. Bell, he was brilliant. He used to play as like the Bare Naked Ladies band. He used to have that on and play music, and it was the first time I ever seen like an iMac, one of the coloured ones with the kind of see-through cases. So he introduced me to like Photoshop. I think it was like one of the first, it must have been like number 6 or something, like one of the early versions. And I'd explained to him, like, I love design and stuff, and he said, you know, there's this thing called product design. It's like if the chairs that people design or the things that are in and around you. And I was like, wow, that's actually like a thing. So he put me in touch with like the colleges, and I got a prospectus, and I actually looked at two paths. It was kind of like either get down the route of doing like industrial design or architecture. And I think part of me looked at architecture and thought, that's like 7 years. Like,
I think everybody goes through that process.
I mean, it'd be amazing. And like my dream's always been to like build my own house. I don't think you can as a designer do anything greater than like wake up and go to sleep in something that you've created. Like, so like my dream's always been to like build my own house. But architecture, I thought 7 years. And as like a school kid, you're like, that's a long time. I've just done secondary school, like another 7 year of study. And I think the money aspect as well, we're fortunate enough in Scotland where we are funded for 4 years through college and university, but after that you need to pay, and I figured, would I be in a position financially where I could afford to do that? So signed up for this university, it was a 4 year course, but 2 years was college and then 2 year uni. So signed up for the first 2 years doing what was then called product design, but that's now digital have kind of stolen that for like websites and stuff and product now, but it's industrial design. So done 2 years at college doing that, and then took a year out. I was in a band, so like I was a lead singer in a pop punk band.
Were you a lead singer? Were you the bass guitarist?
No, I was the lead singer, and I used to write the songs as well. And we were doing all right. Like we'd headlined King Tut's a few times, and we'd supported a band called Bad Religion at the Callahan Academy. So we were doing quite well. And I took a year out to see how the band would go, and then decided, right, this isn't working out. I should probably get back to it. So I went to do my 3rd and 4th year, my honours degree at Caledonian University, and I think it was there. And I don't know if you might need to put a wee warning to people. This might trigger some people. I need to talk about something that happened whilst I was at uni. So in must have been late into my 3rd year, which would have been the 2nd year of uni. I was on the way home from a crit. So we were in presenting our stuff. It was maybe about 7:30 at night. And we left the university, me and 2 other students, and we were heading down to the kind of main street in Glasgow. So you go through a bus station and you can head down to the main street. And as we're crossing the road, there's this guy kind of coming past us. He's shouting and screaming and kind of nudging into people and goes away through. And we think nothing of it and start carrying on down the middle of the street. And then next thing, I get hit in the back of the head with something. And I just seen white like at first, and I kind of stumbled forward, and all I felt was like my hood getting pulled over my head, and then just like repeatedly getting punched. But it was at this point I hadn't realised the guy had a knife. So he cut me like above my eyebrow here, all down through my face, down through my jaw here. And I was grabbing the knife, so like I've got scars and stuff on the insides of my hands. So I managed to kind of get free. The 2 guys that were with me, one was kind of pulling on him to get him off me, and the other guy was kind of pulling me away. And there was a Sainsbury's on the corner, and I ran in there, and obviously just to shocked faces, like my face was bleeding here, my head, my hands and stuff. And I said, listen, I've been attacked. They said, listen, come through. There's like a bit at the back here, a kind of security bit. And when I went through, and so you get like those 2-way mirrors, that's when I looked into the mirror and I could see like my face was open here where I'd been stabbed. So like it was at that point, it was weird. This kind of, I wasn't really panicked at this point. Obviously, I was in pure shock, probably half concussed from getting hit with the brick. But so I'm standing there, and I'm holding these, like the blue roll that you get. It's like the kind of tissue. So I'm holding stuff in this hand, trying not to bleed. I'm holding it in this. Somebody's holding stuff on my head. They're trying to get my t-shirt off to check like that I hadn't been cut anywhere else, like on my body and stuff. Thankfully, there wasn't. It was kind of like the face and stuff. So anyway, they got this guy. The police managed to get him. He'd stabbed someone else on a bus as well that day. So I think this guy he was off his face on drugs, and he'd just been going about unprovoked, just attacking people, and I was just unlucky that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So this is what this has gotten pretty dark, pretty fast.
Wow. Well, not at all. I mean, it's, this is out in 2026. It's a new year, and we are going to be sort of talking about like how it's shaped you, and we're going to take the positive out of it. And I can already see you. You rationalize it in a very kind of, you come at it from a very positive. It wasn't anything personal. This chap just clearly had issues, and you just, like you say, you were in the wrong place, wrong time.
Because I think it's hard, like at that point when it had happened. So I ended up like after that, I wasn't in the band. After that, it really knocked my confidence for quite a while. So the problem is I had to walk past that area every day to go back to uni. So like it was kind of like reliving it every time, and it was one of those things that at first I was at home with it, I was trying to deal with it, and it was just a case of like I can't let my future be ruined or be depicted by this guy just deciding to do what he done. So like I had to just, and don't get me wrong, I had a wealth of support through my friends and family and stuff like that really helped. But it was a case of like get back on it, like get back to uni and gave me that drive to kind of finish the course, which I did, which was great.
How old were you?
So this was 2005. So that had been shit at maths. I must have been like
20s.
Yeah, 24, something, 25.
Yeah.
And
so how long did it take for you to get over the injuries?
The scarring stayed for quite a while because they were quite deep scars. Like I've got the advantage now that I've got crow's feet, so like you can't really see them. My age is like helping blend it in. But yeah, the hospital provides you these sort of plasters that you can wear that take the reddening and stuff out of the scars, and that really helped. And now that I've grown my beard, that kind of covers the scarring that's kind of down at the bottom. But it really knocked my confidence. I think knowing that at that point in university, when you know you're going to be coming out at the end of that and looking for a job and stuff like that, and like my accent's quite a strong Glaswegian accent that can kind of, it sounds working class, and it's like I think with that, and then the idea of having these scars on my face, and then like we previously talked about, like I'm bald, so like my hair was receding at that point, so like the idea of having like I had shaved my head, so like shaving my head with these scars and then like this accent, it kind of made me think, like, what are people going to think of me? Like, regardless of getting the honours degree and stuff like that, like coming out in an industry and try to like make a name for myself or get a job, it really knocked that confidence. But equally, I think I always look at these things and think that they happen for a reason, in terms of like maybe I had to have my resilience built, or like the positives out of it are that you can take them on board and it makes you a stronger person. Like
absolutely.
Like, I think I'm quite like, but my mum and dad, they divorced. My dad suffered from alcoholism and they ended up divorcing. And I think for my mum, she's probably one of the strongest, most resilient people I know. Like an incredible role model to me and my sister. So I think like knowing like seeing her go through that, and like she went back to college. She had me when she was 21, but she went back to college, studied as a mature student, done all of that. Wow. So like there was elements of like looking at my mum and that, looking at that for strength and thinking, do you know what, like these things happen. Like I've been kind of built on that inspiration through her being resilient, and I think that helped certainly. Because like I say, she's probably one of the strongest kind of women that I know.
Sounds very stoic. They do say the more scars you have, the more of a sort of shield you have to anything that life throws at us. Sorry for getting upset then. It was...
No, it's okay. Like, sorry to upset you.
No, it's just I can see you, that young kid, just with your friends and the gentle giant that you are and that I've come to know you as. And I mean, you're quite tall, aren't you? You're 6 foot. How
yeah,
old?
6'3".
6'3".
6'4" if I'm wearing high heels. But
there you go. We brought it back. Yeah, that must have been horrific. And do you still have nightmares, or is it a long time in the past now? Have you?
No, at first, yeah, sometimes I would kind of, like, I would wake up with kind of, not night terrors, but like I would relive some of the stuff. And it took me a long time. Like, I probably sought out therapy like in the past maybe 3, kind of maybe longer, 4 or 5 years. Because I think there was a lot of things there that just I hadn't dealt with. Like through the divorce and stuff like that, my mum and dad, they kind of obviously drifted. I didn't speak to my dad for a while, but then we rekindled things, and then unfortunately he passed away of a heart attack in 2011.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Unexpected. I know this is your listeners were thinking I've come on for a creative podcast here, and I'm getting depressed.
Them. I promise you'll be inspiring them.
So we rekindled things, and it was great. And then he died of a heart attack at 52 in 2011, just unexpectedly.
So young. Well, at least you got to have that time with him, and it sounds like you've got very healthy memories of your dad as a kid as well. Yeah,
I mean, like I say, tons of that stuff like have made me who I am in terms of like the things that I love, like even to like music taste and stuff like that, and then like even just that kind of resilience, turning my hand to everything, like type approach, like and that work ethic, that's always been there through them, from my mum and dad. But I think life throws these things at you, and it's like it is how you cope with it. And I think a lot of the time I wasn't coping with it. I was just throwing myself into work and trying to ignore a lot of this stuff. So whether it be like my dad passing away or the attack, it was just like, right, just get on with it. Like there was that. It's a weird thing that I think a lot of guys do, where you're just like, you feel that thing where you need to man up, like you don't want to talk about it. You just kind of want to like pretend it's not happening, which is never great because it manifests itself negatively later down the line. And that certainly happened with me. It was like I was finding like my anger was a big thing. Like I'd be really reactive to stuff, like a short temper, and just not nice to be around sometimes when I would have these weird mood swings, but couldn't really understand why I was doing it. You couple that with then the pressures of running your own business, it's like it can really get on top of you. So
100%. This season of the Creative Boom podcast is proudly sponsored by James Cropper, the last mill standing in Britain for premium coloured paper. Its new colour source range puts designers first, giving you direct access to 50 stunning shades in a range of weights and textures straight from the mill. Incredible colour, crafted in the Lake District and delivered straight to your door. Discover the paper that brings your ideas to life via paperandpackaging.jamescropper.com. I mean, I bet it was hard for Scottish working class lad to finally admit that counselling might be a good way to go.
Yeah, and it's the best thing I've done. Like I would recommend it to anyone. Like it really is. Like it helps you take some of those demons and then just like find ways of coping with it.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with that story. I was talking to my husband in the car the other day, actually, and remember when I used to be really angry and I'd have these outbursts and I would pick something up and I would throw it across the room. Not at him. I remember I picked up a big mirror once and smashed it on the floor and it shattered into, so many pieces. And it was, I think, in my 20s, I'd sort of had various traumatic things happen to me as a kid. And I think the penny dropped that maybe this anger was coming from something and maybe I needed to go and talk to someone. And it was the best thing I ever did because the anger, well, it's not there anymore. And I've just resonate so much with your story in that, you've got to find something else. You've got to use different tools. Losing your temper and lashing out at the world is not going to really get you very far.
No, people just people get to a point where they're just being like, you're being a dick.
Yeah,
Stop this shit.
absolutely. I've got a very honest husband, and I'm sure he said, look, come on, you've got undealt with things, you need to go and talk to someone. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
that's
yeah,
it.
there you go. So we learn from these things. We go through these awful, unlucky moments in our lives, but they do have silver linings, don't they?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think if I look at, like, as much as I say I threw myself into the work and the work became that kind of crutch thing for me, it was also like to end up where I'm at the moment and I'm running my own business and stuff like that. I mean, that was the kind of, it was never always the dream, but I had this idea of like, I would love to work for myself and do that. And like, it just took a while to get there. Like, so like, and again, it's like, we talk about these things that happen for a reason type thing. Like, there was other things where I've been working on jobs and things happening that didn't have great outcomes, but like you can reframe it. Like, I'm always a great believer that you can reframe things in a positive way. And one of them was probably I had to go to small claims court for like one of the very first clients that I was kind of working with.
Wow.
And so this was at uni, and my lecturer Fred, who I'm still good friends with, during the kind of semesters when the university ends, before the next semester starts, he'd said to me, listen, there's some freelance work going where we're trying to build links with industry to bring people on the outside in to use some of the students. There's this sort of job opportunity. Would you be interested? Right. So excellent. So I was like, great. Got involved and done the product design stuff, working with Fred and with the client. All great. Got the. It was kind of like this applicator gun that was used for like damp proofing. So it was like wasn't the most exciting, sexy product, but it was great because I got to apply the skills that I'd learned at university on a live project. So we'd done this project. It was great. I got paid. Everything went well, and the client said, well, listen, can you reach out for this second part of the project? We need it branded, the packaging, or the point of sale display. I thought, excellent. So again, turned my hand to that, got it all done, and then started getting the stuff was getting printed, everything was going ahead, and I was like, I've still not been paid. So I chased the payment. Oh, sorry, next week we're waiting in some money, some funds been released, right? Next week. This kept going on. This was like a case of months, and I was like, right. So I'd like made up this wee, again, so naive and like fresh to how these things work. I wrote this kind of like letter up as if it was like final demand, like you owe me this money or I'm taking you to court, basically. And he called my bluff. He was like, right, take me to court then. So I was like, right, okay. And this is for like £2,500, which is a lot of money. Like even now to me, 2.5, I'm like I'm not letting this go. No. So I went on to the HMRC website and then like onto the Gov website. How do I take somebody to court? Like, how do I try to get advice on this? So this transpires over like a year and a half of me back and forth with the court, going to court, and then he turns up. He's set to turn up so that we've got all the evidence. I've printed all the emails off and all this evidence. So I turn up and he's not there, and they say, listen, he's defaulted. He's not turned up. Basically, the case is yours. You've won the case. He owes you that money. You now need to get a sheriff's officer to implement that and get the money back. So it turned out the reason that he never attended is he'd taken ill and he died, and I had no way of getting the money.
Oh, so my God!
Like about a year and a half of going through this process to get it, and the guy had passed away, and I'd never seen any of them. Obviously, there was this moral thing of like, right, his family and stuff have had a loss. Like, should I still be trying to chase this money? But then he had actually, he was involved in different other businesses, and a lot of people had invested money into his business, and he'd swindled people out of money. Like, he wasn't a very nice guy. Like, that £2,500 was nothing in comparison to what some of these people had lost investing in the business. But one of the positives out of that
is... Did one of his debt collectors kill him or something?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. But, see, one of the things now is like I say to clients, like it's quite a good story to tell, to say to them, listen, the last guy that didn't pay me is now dead. It's a good way of getting like an invoice paid. So the positives out of that was like, as much as you can be trusting in business, like you really need to get contracts put in place and get these things like in writing, because there's no way you can predict something like that sort of happening. But
I'm just chuckling because like it's probably very inappropriate for me to say, but did you know, if you did have visible scars when you told somebody at that time, you know?
Well, they would have thought, exactly. They would have been thinking, all right, this guy's
Make
the
your
real
right
deal.
eye go slightly mad.
He's going to break some legs if the invoice doesn't get paid. So it can work to its advantages.
What we do. We use humour. We use humour to cope with the kind of weird darkness of the world. And
so it was kind of it was lucky. Like even at the university side and college as well. I think I had this because I had such a strong work ethic and wanting to prove myself. Like these opportunities would come up quite a lot of just like speaking to people and saying like I'm up for trying this or doing this or this is what I'm trying to do and telling people, even to the point where we talked about the kind of working class thing and feeling like I maybe it wasn't for me or wasn't part of it. Like I remember my college tutor, John Stevenson. He's one of these guys. He was kind of quite old school. Like I remember one time I'm in the class and I'm sitting chatting to my pal Dave beside me, and he came up and rattled me in the back of the head with a set of keys. Like now, like janitors used to carry like all these keys on a ring. I get that to the back of the head because I wouldn't shut up when he was trying to teach the class. So he was kind of quite old school. But I remember he used to do a lot for the students. Like if you really showed promise and you wanted to kind of really prove yourself, and he was kind of from a working class background, so I think he's seen a bit of himself in me, and he said to me, look, there's this exhibition going on, it's an art exhibition, I think you'd enjoy it, why don't you come along? And like my first reaction was kind of like, this isn't for me, like that's not my scene, like that's not my thing. And he said, look, have you got a shirt and some shoes? And I said, he says, right, come along to this, like I want you to experience it. So I went away along to it, and I got into this art exhibition. It's kind of all white walled. They've got a table with red and white wine and some nibbles and stuff, and like really out of my comfort zone. And I go in, beeline straight for the red wine. I'm like, right, couple of glasses of this so that I can a bit of Dutch courage. So typical Glaswegian style. So I do that, and then I'm like, I'm really not feeling it. Like I'm feeling really uncomfortable. I say to him, like, I'm going to leave, and he says, listen, do me one favour then, right? If you don't feel comfortable, you want to leave, that's fine. But see, before you do, go and speak to somebody. I says, right, okay. So I again went back to the table, grabbed a red wine, went up. There was like a mezzanine, kind of like this level that went up. So I went up there and I'm standing looking at this photograph on the wall that was framed, and it was an artist called Richard Wilson. Not to be confused by the I don't believe it one foot in the grave guy. Saying that, you've got the younger listeners
From
are going to be like,
youth.
I don't know what that is. So this guy, he basically had sculpted these boats. He cut them up into bits and then photographed it, and that was part of the art. So like I thought, right, I'm going to go and fuck it, I'll just speak to somebody. So I just go up and there's this girl standing, and I'm standing looking at this photograph, and I say, oh, are you enjoying the show? And she says, oh, listen, this is kind of my first time at one of these things. And I think it was like, that was that moment of being like, do you know what? Like, you have this perception that everybody's got their shit together, or they know what things are, or that they feel they're part of something. And like her just saying that to me, that she was doing the exact same boat as me, her first time at this thing, wasn't sure about stuff, kind of just changed my mindset on it. It was like this thing that I had built up in my own head, probably, that these things weren't for me, or that oh, I'm working class, I can't do these things. It was all just, I'd made it up. Like it was more in my head than anything else. And it was a great night. I started going around and chatting to different people and stuff like that. And it was just that moment, if he hadn't invited me to that, or I hadn't had that wee epiphany moment of, wait a minute, like this is something I'm creating in my own head. So it was great. So like I've always had people kind of been really supportive of that and try to get me into the industry and do things. Again, I'm rambling here. I could,
No, it's
tell me to shut up.
I love it. You're making my job really easy. I love it. It sounds like the path you've carved. I mean, there's definitely been some blips, but like I was saying before, it's the silver lining. It kind of teaches you things about yourself, and the people you meet along the way who see something in you. It's humbling, isn't it? I know what you mean about going into spaces and not feeling like you belong. I was out of practice. I went to the Northern Design Festival, and I'd been on the floor all of 2024 pretty much, and very sort of isolated. So I was a little bit out of practice, and it's funny how you can forget that. And I just went up to the first person I saw who I recognised from a leading agency, design studio, and I just bumbled something like, gosh, I'm a bit out of practice. I find these things very exhausting. And he just bumbled and went, gosh, me too. Let's stick together. And it was just so funny and sweet and gorgeous at the same time, because it made me remember that we're all just muddling through. We're all human.
That's it. I think we're all just winging it.
Yeah, of course we are.
Just kind of getting through it, like, especially in the creative industries. I think
that's
it's
what
like
I was going to say. Yeah, the design industry is hilarious. You feel like you have to have a certain persona, wear a certain type of dress, be a certain way, but you don't. It's all bollocks.
I mean, I think for a long time, even when I was probably positioned in the studio, because it is just so, like, I've not really talked about what it is I actually do. so Stckmn's basically just like a one-man studio. It's just me. Like, I don't have any staff. I don't. I don't. Occasionally, I do 99% of the stuff that comes output the studio. It's done by me across different disciplines. But occasionally, I'll work with people on things that are maybe a wee bit more out of my skill set. So, like if it's 3D animation or video production, then I'll work with people on that. But I think one of the things by doing that, there is that imposter syndrome aspect. Like I say, I studied industrial design. I hadn't done any branding, any graphics. I was coming from something where it was very working with your hands. Like, at that point, I don't even think I had a computer. We were doing a lot of stuff through Letraset, hand sketches, blue foam models. It was very, very much analog. So to then try and carve out this job where I was coming out of uni, couldn't find a job in product design because they're very few and far between, like, unless you're going to go down south. So I kind of had to change who I was, like, and be like, right, okay, people will pay for logos, right? I can understand a bit about branding and how that looks. And then I started getting into graphics. And I think that my first job out of uni kind of helped with that. Like, it was just me, and it was for a pneumatic tool company. They came to the end of your show, seen some of my work, and said, look, we're looking for somebody that can kind of do like 3D stuff for the tooling, but also like, that's good. I love a pun. I absolutely love a pun.
Sorry,
I was going to say at the work nights out, they would all get hammered.
Yes, now we started.
But I could do this all day.
Yes, so could I. Let's not terrorise the listeners.
So I got that job based off just speaking to them at the end of your show, saying like I was up for doing like a bit of not just the 3D stuff, like I could turn my hand to graphics. So like I'd done that for 2 years and done everything for them, so exhibition design, their branding, signage, everything. And I'd never done it before, so I was teaching myself while on the job, which is something I'd really recommend to people coming out of university, that it's, everybody wants to get there really quick and be running their own business and doing their own thing and getting recognition and doing all this. But there's something to be said about going in and actually just doing the graft in somewhere and learning on paid time on real jobs, and then applying that if you want to come out and work for yourself. Like, I'd be a massive advocate for that, because I'd done it 10 years before I was able to get to a point where I felt like I was able to do it for myself. Mm-hmm. So like these wee jobs that you might think, look, that's not the best, that's not the, like, it was tools, right? It was construction tools. So like, it's not the most sexiest of things, but however, you can make that job into your own. Like, if you excel at it, you work, you think, right, how can I change this project to make it more exciting? So I had done that for 2 years, and then I got made redundant from that job. They closed the business down, hopefully not because my design was shit, but like about a month before they made me redundant, I had just signed a 100% mortgage on my first house, who was my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And we were fixed rate for like 2 years on an £800 a month mortgage. And I had went in and spoke to him and said, look, I've noticed there's a couple of guys in the factory got made redundant. Is my job safe? Yeah, job's safe. And I took the mortgage on. I think I got one of the last 100% mortgages on like the Friday, and then the Northern Rock financial crisis thing hit on like the Monday of the next week in 2008. And it was like, oh no, this couldn't happen. Like, I just remember leaving the office after he told me, and I just sat in the car and I cried. And I just thought, how am I going to go home and tell Nicola, like, listen, I've just lost my job and we've just signed this ludicrous interest rate mortgage. So I ended up signing on for like I think it was 2 months. And the joke with that as like a kind of set up thing for supposed to be helping you was like, by the time I'd filled all the forms in, they'd assessed my case and then tried to get me funds. I'd already got a job. Like I got a job in like the August.
Gosh.
So, but one thing to say about that as well. So it would have been quite like, I've got this thing where I say like never burn a bridge with anyone. Like I think it would have been easy in that moment for me to probably shit on the manager guy that ran it, to say like, I asked you about this with the mortgage and stuff and you could have told me, and like I could have flipped a desk or something. I don't know, but I didn't. I just said, look, that's a horrible circumstance he's in. Like he's losing his business. Like it's not as if it's just me that's out of my ear. And I just said, listen, I'm really sorry to hear that. Like I understand, but like it's the way it is. And he actually, after that, started another business up, and he was one of my first freelance clients when I went out on my own, and to help me sustain the business by paying me. So like it's just never burn bridges. I think there's a band called Bad Omens. They've got a good lyric. It says, if you're going to burn bridges, you better hold your breath and learn to swim. And I think it's a good way of kind of hanging it. This design industry is such a small industry, and if you're nasty about people and backstab, like it gets around quickly.
It does,
and people know. So that was the kind of first job, like 2 years of that, and then luckily found myself in a job 6 years working for a homewares company after that. Again, went in, there was a small team, I became the lead designer, and that was the best bit as well. Like again, about taking on some of these jobs that aren't maybe the best, but there was a guy doing web design, Stu, girl Lynn doing surface design. I could learn off of them. Like I'd never done these things. So like and I've always said that as well. See titles within a job, like you've got your senior, middleweight, design director. It doesn't matter. Like I think I've learned most of the stuff that I knew from people below me. Like, and I think you should never have a title and think that title means anything, especially in the creative industries. It's about your work ethic. It's about the work that you put out. It's your talent. It doesn't matter. The amount of stuff I've learned from like junior creatives and being like, go and show me how to do that. Like, and they're like, you don't know. And I'm like, pretend that I do, right? But can you show me again how you've done this?
It's the only way to learn. It's great.
So like I've done that for 6 years, and basically the job was designing packaging for like the company. They were a UK leading distributor, so they would bring in stuff from the Far East and sell to like the high street. So like Matalan, George, Tesco, they've all got homeware bits. So we would either create sub brands for them, or we would use our brand guidelines to do that. So I've done that, and again, it was a great way to do photography, do the retouching, catalogues, everything. So it was a really good learning process, and I'm still great friends with all of the team that I worked with there. It was kind of like, now sometimes when you're in one of these jobs where you're staying in it for the people rather than it was definitely that. I think we were all united in the same pain of working there that it's lasted. But I got to a point I was kind of bored in that job. When you work in-house, you're doing the same thing all the time for the same. Yeah. You don't feel like you're pushing yourself.
It gets a bit tedious. Yeah.
And I didn't really know much about the graphic design industry in terms of like who the big players were. Like I think at that point I knew of D8, so like I knew of like Adrian and stuff like that, and I knew Tangent, who seemed to be like two of the biggest kind of ones that I knew. But then I thought, right, I think I'm about to get into agency work, but I've got no experience doing that. So this job role came up for a company called Made Brave, who are based in Glasgow, and I think they were 2 years old at that point. I think they'd like 9. I think I was like their 10th member of staff. So seen this job ad come up, and I'm going to have to go off on a side tangent to explain this, how I got into the interview process. Right? Do you remember Bebo, the social media? Right. So this is like a precursor to Facebook, right? It's like, and you could upload videos and photographs and stuff, and I'd done this stupid thing, right, where I can't remember if I was drunk. I probably was, but like I'd won this line, right? It was like maybe like 4 foot tall, this like carnival, like now when you go to the carnival and you throw the things and you can win a prize. I'd won this carnival prize, and it's a lion with a crown on it and like a robe, and it was about 4 feet in height. And one night I decided it'd be funny to pull all the stuffing out, climb inside it and film myself doing a stupid video, right? Right? And don't ask me why, right? And,
I love that.
So I filmed it, me singing the line that the line sleeps tonight. Right? So I filmed this, upload it to Bebo, right? Probably half cut. People start commenting on it. Oh, this is hilarious. You doing this thing? And I thought, I'm going to do another one. So like, I done me in the line suit driving. I done like the line does Christmas. The
Did
line
you give
does
him a name?
No, I made this
Leo.
wee series called. Well, I'm a Leo, so maybe I should have. But
Same.
like, I called it The Line Does, and I made this wee series. And I was asking people, would you want him to do next? So like, I was doing like, I done
genius.
like Valentine's Day, Christmas, like all these stupid videos, and so I'm getting away from it, right? But basically, the Made Brave tone of voice was very like jovial, like they didn't take themselves seriously, and in the job description they said, if you love the Lion King films, we would love to have you on board. And I was like, right, this is it. This is
That's
my in.
a sign.
I was like, I'll send them a link to one of those videos. And I remember
What can go wrong?
I remember speaking to Andrew, the owner, after it, and he said, we either thought you were going to be quite creative because you had this kind of wacky sense of like not taking yourself too serious, or you were just mad. You were just a nutter. It's like we were willing to get you in to check your folio to see if the work was up to standard and get you in. So I ended up getting that job as a junior. And again, that was my first time ever getting any industry experience within an agency, which is so fast paced compared to like in-house work.
Completely different.
So I moved up. I went in there as a junior, moved to senior, and then finally design director. And I worked there for 2 years. Wow. And then it got to a point, it was like, again, I think when you stay somewhere a while, when you've moved up the ranks, you kind of get to a point where I was like more of a manager. So I was going and doing the client-facing stuff. I was overseeing a team, and I wasn't getting the hands-on that I love. Like that's the bit I actually love to execute the work. Yeah. So a combination of that and myself and my wife had been talking about starting a family, and I thought, right, if there's any time that I need to try this and see if I can do Stckmn full time, it's got to be now. Because if I have a child first, there's no way, like from a monetary aspect or whatever, that I'll take the leap of faith and do it. Yeah. So I said, right, I think I'm going to leave the agency job, and I'd been working nights and weekends whilst working at the agency, and I've done this since like I set Stckmn up in 2006 as a registered sole trader. It was called Stckmn Innovative Design Solutions, which is ridiculous. Why did you
call it Stckmn?
I think, well, probably two reasons. Like, I'm tall and lanky and skinny, so I thought, right, and it's just me as in the business, and I've never wanted to grow the business. I've known it's always going to be me that the clients are dealing with, and that it is me. And I figured it's quite a nice, approachable thing, like to think that it's me. And also, like a Stckmn's typically, whether you're 3 years old or you're 90, everybody can draw a Stckmn. So it's like it's got that creative kind of approachability to it that I quite liked. But obviously Stckmn Innovative Design Solutions, I cut down to Stckmn and then went further and took the vowels out, as you can see in the sign above my head, like just to make it more hipster.
Yes, love it.
So I've had that set up since 2006, and this is leading after another story. So the reason I set that up, right, was because I won a national competition for a product I designed for the smoking ban.
Oh, nice.
And again, smoking ban, your listeners are too young to even know that you couldn't smoke.
That's when I gave up smoking.
Because of the ban. Well, that's great. Yeah. A positive came out of that then.
Oh, yeah.
So pubs and clubs, you would obviously be able to smoke in, but then with the smoking ban coming in, you wouldn't be able to do that. So a lot of the venues were, how do we deal with this? Like, people need to go out for cigarettes. Like, they're throwing the cigarette butts on the floor. Like, how do we stamp their hand to get in and out? There was like lots of things that were making that experience uncomfortable for like both the venues and the clientele. So I designed this product that was basically a wee paper pouch called the Doubt Pouch. And what would happen is the people on the door would give you as you went out. You would then use it as a one-use ashtray, put your doubt in it, it would self-extinguish, and you would use that as your ticket stub to get back into the club because you showed that you'd paid. It would It would also have advertising space on it, so that the drinks companies and that could fund it. And then I had worked at this idea where they would be recycled, so they would use the paper to then make. So I won a competition based on this idea, and it was really lucky. It got picked up by a few radio stations and newspapers and stuff. They were calling me like an inventor, which I thought was funny. And at this point, I was working in Lidl, right, like the store, right, at the weekends to pay for uni, and they would come in and they'd be like, "Oh my God, like it's Chris, we seen you in the paper and stuff like that." And it was this kind of like, no, like tell us how it's going and stuff.
Local celeb.
So this opportunity came up where Peter Jones for Dragon's Den was starting a new TV show, and I put myself forward for it to pitch this idea. So like I ended up going out to West Kilbride and pitching this idea to Peter Jones, and because I knew I was doing all this and I thought I could maybe make a business out of this, that's why I set Stckmn up originally.
Okay.
Needless to say, he thought the idea was shit. He never invested in it.
At least you went and did it.
I mean, it was a great experience, and I think if you don't ask, you don't get. Like I've always like lived by that, and I think
plenty of people who don't even try.
Well, and that's it. And I think you can't complain about not getting opportunities if you don't put yourself forward for them. Like I think nobody knows. I there was a funny thing Nicola said to me. I always worried about posting stuff online about my work, or just commenting on stuff, like putting stuff up, like, or having an opinion about certain things on my work. And I'd said, listen, I'm just really worried. Like, what if I put something up and like it ruins my reputation? He says, Chris, you don't have a reputation. Nobody knows who you are, so I wouldn't worry about it. And it was kind of like it was this humbling moment of, do you know what, she's right. So like, there's nothing to ruin. So like, just go for it. Be yourself.
Yeah. Everybody's not focused on you. They're focused on themselves. It's a liberating truth.
So I already had the business set up. So like, it made it easier when it came to like deciding that I wanted to go out my own and pursue Stckmn full time. So this is January. Right now, February
January 2026, not pre-recorded or anything.
So February will be 27th of February. That'll be me of running Stckmn full time for 10 years, and it'll be 20 years. So, no thanks. That's kind of a big milestone. So.
That's incredible. That's amazing. And like supporting your family and growing something to be proud of. I love on your LinkedIn page where on the header image on your profile, there's like different versions of you to sort of get across that, yes, okay, it's just you, but actually you've got all these different disciplines and can help more than people realise. Yeah, you need to wear many hats. You do. God, you do. And you're wearing one right now. It's a lovely hat. So when we look back, this has been so nice hearing your journey, but when we look back to some of those, traumatic moments that you went through as a kid, really, do you think you can take a positive from it and say that actually you made a decision to crack on with your life and take any opportunity that came your way, and it's kind of played a part in your story? Yeah, definitely. I think it's when you do have those things that happen through your life, I think, and this is more so coming out now that I've done the therapy and kind of looking back and seeing the positives in it. It's like it does build a resilience in you that, and definitely within our industry where it is a lot about acceptance, it is a lot about probably, even from a design aspect, rejection. Like there is a lot of that within our industry, whether you submit a design and they say, no, it's not right, or like, especially when you put a lot of yourself into that, like I feel as if like when I take on a project, I live and breathe it. It's like, and a big part of me goes into that. So when maybe it doesn't land well or the design isn't correct or people shit on it, like you do feel like they're shitting on you. Like you do feel like it's hurtful. So I think having gone through a lot of things that emotionally you need to get your head around and deal with, when it comes to that point where you're having to apply that same logic to like your working practice where those things come in, it stands you in good stead. Like I mean, like I say, I never really thought of them as traumas as such until like I went to the therapy and they're like, this isn't normal. These things that have happened aren't normal stuff to happen to people. But it definitely has made me much stronger, and again, being able to apply some of that to my work has been great. It's quite powerful and liberating, isn't it, when a professional tells you that these things that happen to you are not normal and they are traumatic, and it's okay to, it's like a weight lifts off your shoulders because you've been holding perhaps onto something that you can't quite fathom for such a long time.
I mean, there's the like there's a burnout aspect as well. Like I think when you couple a lot of the stuff that happens in your personal life, like a lot of people, a lot of the time people don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Like, and I think you need to be really conscious of that. Like,
Yeah.
like we all put this amazing face forward on social as if like everything's great, and people don't really talk about things. And that's why I think having communities like the studio and things like that, where you can speak to people, meet new people, talk to people in the industry, where you realize it's not just you. Like a lot of people suffer with these exact same worries, these exact same things, and like we discussed earlier, like pretty much most days are really winging it. Like if you really sit, I mean, don't tell that to the clients, but like a lot of the time we are finding our feet whilst going through the project. And I think the more and more that you do that, you just become better at it. It becomes
Yeah.
more of a kind of second nature thing rather than feeling like it's a thing. But I still get like I'm nervous doing this today. I still get nervous when I do talks. I still, every time I'm presenting something to a client, I get nervous. Like I don't think that ever leaves you, but it's kind of part of the excitement as well. Like that's kind of the buzz. Like I think we're sadists at heart, designers. I think we quite like it.
It's like anything though, isn't it? The more you do it, I think the easier it gets. But it doesn't
Yeah.
mean you still don't have a moment, you know, when I'm filling up my water bottle downstairs, I'm like, oh, I hope it goes well today. I hope I do a good job, you know.
Yeah.
It's what keeps you going, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And but thinking probably, I think there's a lot of pressure involved in what we do. Whether it be that you are working for someone else or whether you're working for yourself, there's a lot of pressure to kind of achieve things or get that kind of fix of like, right, how do people like it? Like certainly for me, acceptance was a massive thing, and I think it's because I was outside of the industry. I didn't know much about the graphic design or branding and stuff. So like there was this thing of like, how do I navigate this? Like how do I see who's who and be part of that community? And it can be quite cliquey, I think, like in
Yeah.
terms of trying to find how you get in and speak to these people or feel that you're part of the community. Which that in itself can be hard, and that's irrespective of the work. But try to find that balance, I think, which I've really struggled with over the years, of getting like a balance between work and life. Like definitely seeing like my personal life be affected in a negative way because of the amount of workload and what I've taken on, to the point where I think it most so recently it kind of happened to me again. But in 2023 I ended up in the hospital through overworking, just kind of like through burnout. And you can have blinkers on sometimes, like with the feast and famine thing. You think, right, I've not had work for 6 months, if work comes in I'll take it, and you take more on than you can probably manage, and being only a kind of one person studio as well, that's difficult sometimes.
Gotcha.
So one thing has to give, and sometimes it ends up being family, it ends up being relationships, because you're so in the work. But I ended up in the hospital. It was like I had been not feeling great. I was getting like chest pains, and I'd put it down to like the fact I wasn't eating right. Like I'd lost like 2 stone in weight, which for a Stckmn's not great. But
No,
I had
it's
just
not.
eaten late at night, like going home, eating at weird times, and I thought, right, my chest pain, it must be something to do with that. But this went on, and then I was in the studio one day. There was a guy, Stu, used to take a desk in the studio, and I said, look, I'm packing it in for the day, and he said, let's go for a pint. So I was like, right, okay, because that's what you do in Glasgow. So went for a pint, and I'm sitting here, and I was like, I really am not feeling this, like I'm struggling. So I left, and as I was on the way home, I started getting worse. Like I couldn't really breathe. Just getting like palpitations and stuff.
Dear
So
me.
Nicola came pick me up, went up to the hospital. They said, listen, we'll get you chest x-rays, we'll do an ECG, your blood pressure's high. We've noticed there's some darkening on one of your lungs. And it turned out basically I had got a bad chest infection, and I tried to work through it. And my body was just saying, no, like you've had enough. So they gave me medication, told me to go home and stop working.
Yeah.
So for 2 days, I basically slept for 2 days.
What did Nicola say?
Enough's enough. Like
Yeah.
you need to stop this. Not even so much like the physical side of things. Like I was neglecting her. I was neglecting my son Caleb. Like I wasn't getting to see him. I was missing out and stuff. And that's never good. Like when the priority becomes work over your family, that's a shit place to be in.
Why do you think you were doing it? Do you think it's because you were so frightened of the money, or was there an element of you trying to prove yourself?
Bit of both. Probably the money aspect, like not feeling like, I think I've always had this bad relationship with money where I feel as if I need to keep chasing it. So like So that and then probably the acceptance thing, like trying to stay relevant, making sure I'm getting jobs, making sure I'm active, working, probably that. But
it's exhausting.
It's really hard to find a balance with it. Like it really is. But I set out stuff at that point. I realised it was too much, and I had set this precedent of dropping to a 4-day week. So I worked Monday to Thursday. And then I'd said to clients, please stop contacting me on WhatsApp and all the other apps. Like I need to be able to step away at 5:30 and that's it. I don't hear from you. But
and were they good about it? Were they understanding?
They were great.
Yeah,
I confided in them and said, listen, this is where I'm at with things. Like a lot of the clients I work with are repeat business. Like a lot of it, I tend not to get a lot of new business. It's like working with people over 5-10 years, which is always great.
Something right, Chris?
Like maybe I'm too cheap. Maybe I don't charge enough. No, I definitely think like you build up these great relationships with clients and they want to come back, and that's a big part of it. But they were fine with it. Like they said, look, we totally understand, because at the end of the day, they're people. They've got relationships. They've got family. They've got stuff going on. They totally got it. But more recently, I had a wee spell where I had about 3 months without work there, and then luckily, because I know a lot of people are kind of struggling at the minute, like I've got work on it just now. But again, I've done that thing where I've maybe overextended what I'm able to do, and I can start to see myself getting into these bad habits again. And it's just about noticing
keep an eye on it.
It's about noticing it and being like, right, okay, no, like I need to watch what I'm doing here.
How old's Caleb now?
He's 6, so he's in primary 2 in school, yeah, and he's he'll want to listen to this as well. He'll want to listen to this. So hi son.
Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say I was on another podcast that was put onto YouTube, and I showed him it, and he's like, Dad, you're on YouTube. Like he watches all this YouTube stuff, and he's like, oh, that's you famous. And I was like, so I'm enjoying the fact that he still thinks I'm kind of cool, because I know that will go, and then
cool.
He'll be like, nah, you're no cool, Dad.
Well, he might go through a phase when he's a teenager, but he'll soon come out of it.
So I try and instill a lot of like the idea of letting him be creative and do the things that he wants. Like he might not necessarily get down the route of wanting to do what I do, and that I suppose that was one of the beautiful things about my mum and dad. They never pressured me to do anything. Like it's one of the first ones in my family to go to university, and like they never said like that has to be a path that you take. Like we'll support you in whatever you want to do, and they've always been like that. There's never been a pressure. So like I just want to be the same with Caleb. Like let him do and whatever he wants to enjoy. I'll always support him what he wants to do. And we build Lego together, we do DIY stuff. Like at the weekend we were spray painting an old scooter that we're trying to upcycle. So like I like him working with his hands and doing stuff. Like it'd be easy to let him sit on the tablet all day, but like I like to try and keep him analog, like get him unless it comes to retro gaming, like I'm getting him into playing all my old consoles, like the old Mega Drive and the SNES and stuff like that, which is brilliant.
Lucky boy.
Aye.
So I'm going to have to sadly wrap this conversation up now. And obviously we're talking about your son, but if we were going to talk up to a very young Chris, you know, if you could look back on your life so far, what would you say to your younger self?
I'd probably say don't be so hard on yourself. Like I think I'm super critical of myself. Like I can be quite harsh. And I used to put it down to like if I'm like that to myself, I'll achieve more, like I'll do better. But like I don't think that's true. I think I should just maybe be more present with stuff and enjoy the small wins, and don't be afraid to like congratulate myself when good things happen. Like I think we, especially Scottish people, were notorious for like not wanting to shout about what we do or not talk about the things or not congratulate each other. Like we're perfect for like an underdog story. See if you're like an underdog coming up, people are like behind you, but then when you get a certain level of success, it's like that got his head, forgot where he came from. Like there's definitely that mentality, but like I'm trying to just be a wee bit more like not as critical of myself, and just try and think that you've got to this age now, you've been doing it a long time, like just enjoy it. Like you've carved this out for yourself, it's okay to enjoy it. Take
a breath and know that you belong. Because we do, don't we? We belong.
Yeah.
Thanks again to James Cropper for sponsoring this season of the Creative Boom podcast. Remember, its colour source range gives designers direct access to 50 beautiful shades and a choice of textures, all crafted in the Lake District and delivered straight to your door. Explore the collection and bring your next project to life at paperandpackaging.jameskropper.com. But this is now a chance to have a little fun, make things a bit lighter. No sad times here. We're going to talk about all the good stuff, hopefully.
Well, I might sneak something in, we'll see.
And as always, you've had a chance to pick from a list of questions. So we're going to get to know you a little bit better and go from there. And also at the end, there'll be a question from the previous guest, and then you'll be able to provide a question for the next guest, which won't be asked until the following season, of which, when that begins, we're not yet sure. So let's go for it. Ooh, piece of creative advice. What is it that you've always ignored, but it works for you?
Niching down. Like niching, choose one thing and be very good at it, specialise in that. That seems to be something that you hear a lot through podcasts and information and books and everything, but I've went completely the other way and said, no, I'm going to specialise in being a generalist.
I love that.
Which is kind of sounds contradictory, but yeah, through whether it be the excitement of working on different things or just that it feels more natural to do a bit of everything rather than niching. So I certainly don't adhere to that. Like that's not something that I do.
It's more fun to do lots of different things. It keeps it varied, doesn't it? It keeps you interested.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things about doing all those that kind of different things as well is it's like when there's, say, a certain, especially now with AI coming in, where certain disciplines and stuff are going out the window. Like I think one of the big things I've done is like photocompositing. That as a specialism is pretty much dead in the water now that AI's taken over. So being able to do a wee bit of everything is probably going to stand me in good stead going forward.
It's a good survival strategy, definitely.
There's a good book called Range by David Epstein, and it focuses on that, about being a generalist, not just in the creative industry, but just in general, and how that can sort of like benefit you longer term rather than being a specialist. So definitely.
Didn't Creative Boom do a piece on it? Is this the age of the creative generalist? Were you not quoted in that article?
I might have been. You've quoted me a few times in some stuff over the years.
There you go. Yeah.
Whether people listen to me or not, I don't know.
Well, whether they bother listening to me. God. When did you last feel completely out of your depth, and what happened next?
So, if it's a work-related thing, it's I feel at my depth pretty much most times I take a project on. I think there's always that point at the start of a project where you pitch for it and you're so nervous about the pitch, and that gives you the stress, and then you get the job and then you stress about how you're going to deliver the job. So and then if it's something that you've maybe not done before, or you've partially done it but you're not too sure, then I tend to get out of my depth. But I think from a personal standpoint, probably been most out of my depth is like having my son. That's probably been like the biggest wake-up call of all time. I'm not taking full responsibility for that. For that, like Nicola did put in 9 months of effort to like, but like definitely like having a kid is like one of the biggest out of depth moments I think I've ever felt. Like just every day is a learning curve.
Yeah, were you there for the birth?
Yeah, I was there. In all its glory. was warned not to look down, but did it anyway and instantly regretted it.
Oh, don't worry, that's what all of us girls are told from an early age.
No, I tend to treat everything, like whether it's good or bad, like a project. It's like I need to it's the way my brain works. Like so, like when we knew we were pregnant, I went into full on like learn everything about it, get the dad books. What do I do during the birth? Like I learned everything. So I was there. Nicola had a straw with our cold water and stuff, and like everything. So like I enjoyed the whole thing. It was great.
That's adorable.
Nicola, she was on the drugs and stuff. She was tried to get an epidural that didn't work, and then so nothing like you think that. Being in a presentation or doing some design work, you think that's nerve-wracking. Throw yourself into a maternity ward or when your wife's having, but that's when you realise, like, can you work under pressure?
Yes. No, I'm one of those women that chose not to go down that path, but what an amazing thing to have. And now you have little Caleb.
Yeah, he's great.
Little 6-year-old Caleb. Is he a little character, force of nature? Does he take after you?
He's brilliant. I think he definitely more me. Chaos, like, loves a laugh. He's the class clown already, and he's in primary 2.
Brilliant.
Like, I was definitely that way in school, so he's taken all of that from me. His confidence and stuff like that. Like,
Great.
he can be sensible as well, though. Sometimes he calls me out and stuff, and that's definitely his mum. He's definitely.
He's already realising who the clown is amongst the parents.
Hopefully he's got. They say that he looks more like me as he's starting to get older. I think he looked like Nicola, so God help him. Like.
Oh, come on.
He's funny. He comes out with crazy things. Like, I remember, you might need to edit this out, but I remember being in the shower, and we always leave the door unlocked because he sometimes has to come in if he needs a pee. And so I left the door open. So he busts into the toilet, and he looks and he goes, "Oh, Dad, like you've got a willy," and I was like, "It's the same as yours, son. It's the same as yours." And he says, "Mine doesn't have a beard." I just thought it was excellent. So like, he cracks me up. He just comes out with some absolute cracking one-liners.
Sounds very creative.
He's brilliant.
No beard, love it.
Maybe he'll be a copywriter. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. It's very, very witty. Now then, I'm scared to ask you this. What's a hill you die on when it comes to creative work? It's nothing to do with beards, is it?
No. Don't ever bulk out a presentation with a design that you don't want to go ahead. Because so many of us do it where they say, we want to see 3 concepts, say, and you'll do 2 and you think, they're really strong. I love it. Right, excellent. They're going to love these. And then you'll sometimes put a filler or one that you think, it's no 100%, but I'll put it in anyway. That will be the one they pick. 100% will be the one they pick. It'll be the one that I've experienced this over the years of doing it, and so don't put anything in that you're not happy to take as the final thing, because it makes the job so much harder. The result isn't as good, and you don't want to put it in your folio. Like, at the end of the day, you want to be able to showcase it. So I'd say that don't put something in your presentation that you don't want the client to go ahead with.
Wise words. Work backwards. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're not working, what's a guilty pleasure you defend to the death?
I love, like old shitty amusements, like seaside amusements. Yeah. Like the ones that have got like the old coin machines. Yeah, with the coins move back and forth. The grabbing machines. Like, I love them. I absolutely like. If we're ever going
cons, you know that, don't you?
I know this. Like, I will happily spend £50 trying to win a £2 cuddly toy just through the excitement of, am I going to win it or no? Like, I don't. It's just this weird thing. I really like them. I don't know if it's like a nostalgic thing for like my childhood or whatever. Like, try to recapture that feeling. So like, I love taking Caleb when we go. If we can source that, like a wee shitty amusement wherever we are, I will find it and we'll go.
The smell of the sea, walking across a pier, seeing the sea between the slats.
Something about it, it's just great. Like, it's
candy floss.
And there's no like, they get rid of a lot of them, like, or they modernise them, which I hate. Like, I want it to be shit. Like, I want it to be all the old machines. Like, it's like that's part
Fish
of the charm.
Chips.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
I once had an ice cream completely nicked off my head. A seagull landed on my head and completely took the whole thing.
Aye.
And I was furious. So I picked up some pebbles and threw it at the seagull that was eating it on the beach and obviously missed. And I turned around and there was this whole coachload of older people sat there just absolutely howling, creasing up. And I was just I was so embarrassed on 2 levels. A, the fact that it happened to me, and B, the fact that I lost my temper and threw a pebble at the seagull.
Well, they should have seen it coming. Those seagulls are crafty. Like,
they really are.
They'll come down and take a full fish out of your chippy, 100%.
They will. They're little bastards. Little bastards. Right. This season of the Creative Beam podcast is sponsored by James Cropper, and its new colour source range is a game changer for designers. It gives you direct access to 50 carefully created shades, with a choice of weights and textures straight from their Lake District mill. Beautiful, sustainable coloured paper made in Britain by experts who live and breathe colour. If you could swap lives with a historical figure for a week, who would it be?
So probably Leonardo da Vinci, because he was like kind of like a polymath, like he'd done a bit of everything, and I think like, not that I'm comparing myself anywhere close to Da Vinci, but what I mean is this idea of doing more than one thing, like because I mean he was like an artist, a painter, an engineer, a scientist, a sculptor. Like he turned his hand to so many disciplines, and like I've been to some of his exhibitions and stuff that I've been on and seen like his drawings of like the medical stuff and it. It's so interesting. So like he just had this massive skill set and he was able to apply his creativity to it. So he's always fascinated me as a person, just thinking some of the things he came up with and invented back then, that was like the 1400s or something like that. And it's like you sometimes look at some of the design now and you think that's shit, and this guy was doing that stuff back then in like the 1400s. So he's always interested me as a kind of historical figure of somebody who like contributed so much but across so many different things.
Do you think if he had a LinkedIn profile and was around today, do you think he would still suffer the same fate as other creatives? You know, have someone reply and say, that's shit.
It's like, that painting you done was shit, or like the lighting was off, or the shadows weren't right. AI could do that better, or like some like you should niche down.
Yes, what are you doing being a generalist, you dickhead?
You should niche down.
Oh gosh, I just remembered your son's potentially going to watch this. Sorry for swearing.
It's okay. I'm his dad, and I try my best not to swear around him, but it slips out.
It's just language.
Yeah.
If your inner critic had a voice and a name, what would it sound like?
So I've got this thing where I seem to call things Steve, and I don't know why. Like we've got squirrels in the garden. There's 3 of them, and we call them all Steve because we obviously can't distinguish what one's what.
Not Steve, Stefan, and Stephen.
No, just Steve for all 3. Makes it easier.
Love it.
So I think he'd be called Steve, and I think he would be a bit of an arse. Like it can be. Like, I think we talked about it. I can be quite critical of myself. Like I can be quite harsh. I try and. If I'm thinking of that inner voice sometimes and it's been a bit shitty to me or I'm being a bit hard, I'm trying to be better at being like, oh, fuck off. Like, hear it as the voice and then just be like, right, okay, that's okay to think that. I mean, I think having an inner voice is great for being almost like a sounding board in your own head. Like, if you can hear it talking back to you and you can use that. But also, equally, it can be quite bad. Like you can shit on yourself a lot and get yourself down and maybe not appreciate stuff and it becomes this almost like a comparison thing, which can be dangerous.
No, totally.
So Steve, he's not a very nice guy. Like that inner critic that I've got. Not to be confused with Steve the squirrels, who are just they're sound. Yeah. They're really nice. They're
nice. Eat the nuts.
And they don't often talk about my creativity. They just want to get fed. So that's good.
Love it. Well, my Steve's been replaced with a kind of 1960s biker girl who's like very rebellious. She's very kind of feisty and she doesn't take shit off anyone, and she's sick of everybody's shit, and she just goes around trying to make me do really kind of like, you know, awful things that might really surprise people because I'm sick of everybody's shit because I'm going through the menopause and I'm just angry in a kind of comical way, you know, like people will be taking ages in a public toilet to go to the loo, and I'm like, in my head I've got, let's call her Riz, she's like, what the hell are those girls doing in that bathroom, for sake? You know, I love it. You should blurt out, can you please hurry up, ladies, we're not performing, you know, we're not performing in there, are we? Like, you only have to wee and pull your pants up, for God's sake. And the impatience, I have to calm her down. I have to say, Riz, will you just shut the fuck up and just stop being so angry all the time? It's great that you're finding yourself and you've got that, you know, pizzazz, but my goodness, can we just still have a bit of humility and kindness?
I think that's an age thing as well. I've definitely noticed I'm starting to become really grumpy.
Oh, maybe it'll turn into Victor.
Small thing. Like honestly, I think that's where I'm going
Victor
down that
Meldrew.
route. Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
I don't believe it. Brilliant.
It's true.
Don't use that as the snippet for the podcast, please.
I promise. I promise I will not. No. But do you resonate with this? So I have a car park here in my little town that I moved to a couple of years ago out of Manchester. It's a lovely little place. And the council charges 87 pence for half an hour parking when you just want to run a little errand. And normally I walk, but some days are really busy. But then there's a Marks and Spencer food hall. And they charge £1 for 90 minutes and you get your money back if you go and buy something in store. So it's only been recently, I couldn't be bothered with that. I just go and pay the council. But just recently, Riz is like, what are we paying these bastards for? Go and park on the Marks and Spencer's car park, get your £1 back and go and buy that posh salad that you've been keeping your eye on.
Go and treat yourself.
Yes. Go and buy some chocolate.
Aye. Go
She's
for
a
it.
troublemaker.
So I'm assuming she sounds very like Sandy. Is it Sandy from Greece?
No, it's the other one. It's the cool one.
Riz is the other one. Right, okay.
Rizzo.
Aye. Like, so, yeah.
I could have been with other guys.
I'm not going to duet with you. I'm afraid.
Rizzo.
My singing days are gone.
She was brilliant. She was the one that all of us cool girls really liked when we were kids. I mean, we liked Sandy, but we
she was authentic.
Like
Rizzo was the authentic. Sandy changed her personality, didn't she? She was prim
she was
and proper.
A bit mean to Sandy initially. She was a bit mean.
But there was probably love there down under, though. I think it was that sort of. I think it was well meant hatred.
Yes, and then she becomes the wife of Jed Bartlett. So you're not getting the reference. So have you ever watched The West Wing?
I haven't. I've not seen that, unfortunately.
So good. Give it honestly, this time of year, West Wing, highly recommended, along with Gilmore Girls, and then you just swap the two.
Right.
Perfect. Life's happy. What's a scent or smell that instantly takes you back to a memory?
So this will be Bovril.
Oh.
Bovril, right? Or chicken soup. But it has to. So the reason this is a thing. So I'd kind of talked, I think, in the podcast about my dad used to go to the car auctions. So we'd get these car auctions and we'd fix cars up, and they would sell Bovril. But it was those machines that you've got to that had the small kind of cream coloured plastic cups. Like, it was terrible, right?
Oh no!
But they done the Bovril and they done the chicken soup. So whenever I smell Bovril or chicken soup, it reminds me of those days, those cold days going to the auction outside and bidding on the cars. Or when my dad worked at the hotels, they had one of those machines that had it, and we would get a chicken soup. So like, whenever I smell those two things, it always reminds me of going to work with my dad in the hotel and him showing me how to wire plugs and do all that sort of stuff, or going to the car auctions with the Bovril. So
comforting.
It's definitely a nostalgic thing.
Oh God, yeah. It's a powerful thing, smell. Now, we've got one more before we give you last week's guest question, and it is, what is the most recent photo on your phone?
So I was going to try and show you, but I'm using the phone to record this, but I had looked at it before, so it's actually a picture of my foot, and I've not got a foot fetish or anything like that. It's not it's not like that. No, I hit my foot getting out of the bath at the weekend, right? And I think I've broke my toe.
Oh, like, for goodness sake.
My foot swelled right up. So I'd sent a picture to Nicholas, like, this doesn't look normal. I think I broke my foot. And she's like, yeah, that looks broken. Basically, it swelled right up. It's went completely almost like deep purple. And she's like, so I went, like we all do when we do things like this, we Google it straight away. Like, is my foot broken? And looked at something. I was like, that definitely looks like all of these images. And then looked up, what do you do? And people are like, well, you can go to the doctors, but they don't do anything for it. So I just thought of it. So I've basically just left it. So I've got this bruised toe. So that's one of the pictures that was on it, the most recent one that I'd sent. And there's a couple other ones. It was me and the wee man have been taking an old scooter that he had. We've been putting new handles on it and spraying it up and fixing it up. So there's a picture of that.
God, you'll treasure those memories.
Aye, it's good because like we had him out in the garden. Whenever we're building stuff, like I always get him to get involved. So like I'll give him a hammer or screwdriver. I'll let him do it. Obviously I'll monitor him and make sure he doesn't hurt himself. But
of course,
I love it. I love the idea is just working, building stuff together. So like we were doing that with his scooter. So that was one of the other photos that was in there.
So nice. So nice. Right. So we have a question from the previous guest. Mm-hmm. It is Joy Nazari from the founder of D&Co. And cool. She asks, when I need to get myself in a different headspace, I have a few go-to music tracks, which now Pavlov my brain into a new mode. Mm-hmm. What do you do as a leader to manage your energy? And if it's music, show us your tracks.
Right, okay. So that's a question. So I suppose I can't really talk about the leader side because I don't have a team or anything like that. But I think
you are a leader.
Well,
follow the leader, follow the leader. You're a leader.
Saying that, if there is a conga going on, then I'm definitely at the front of it. I'm the one starting that.
That's brilliant, and I'll definitely be one of the people that comes and joins in to show support. But
so I like music is a big, like I listen to music a lot. I think even just like back in the band days, like music's always been a big part of my life, whether that be like growing up and stuff like that. Like so, like track wise, so like I listen to a lot of metal, like kind of rock metal. But I'm open to a bit of everything, really. Like I think it's like the design thing. I have quite an eclectic taste in music. Like
Same.
I'm going to see Rick Wakeman. So again, like random. Again, that's like a band. He's a artist from like the kind of 70s, I think.
He's 76.
Yeah, and my dad kind of got me into it. He plays synthesizers and has these weird albums about like Knights of the Round Table and stuff like that. It's just bizarre,
so
but like,
cool.
But then I'll listen to like the genre of chiptune, which is like taking old Game Boys and taking the 8-bit soundtracks from it to make music. I like a lot of Japanese music. Like my taste is so eclectic, but like I love going to gigs. So like if there's something where I need to let loose and like feel like I've got somewhere I can go to that's not work related, I'm not having to be responsible as a husband or a parent, I can just go nuts. I go to gigs a lot, so like I'm it's only until recently I've kind of stopped getting in the pit. Like I love getting into a mosh pit and just coming out bruised and broken, and then but I'm getting a bit old for it now. The bruises they're taking longer to heal each time I do it.
Well,
but I love a gig.
I love a mosh pit. I started a mosh pit at a Sex Pistols gig in Manchester once.
Wow, amazing! Like
there were loads of old men just stood around, sort of like that, really kind of mellow. And my friend who I'd gone with, who was a bit older than me, he just said, "This is a bit dull, isn't it?" Like, not the Sex Pistols, but the audience were just so
quite lame,
chilled, you know. And I just went, hold my pint. And off I walked into the fray. And I just went up to all these random men just going, oh my God, it's the fucking Sex Pistols.
Just like, come on, like, get a bit of movement.
Up and down.
It's weird. I've seen this, like, I've been going to gigs since I was like a teenager. And I love that. I love that whole united feeling you have when you're at a gig and everybody's just enjoying it and you're there, and it's
so nice.
And it's so weird to look at, because when you look at these types of gigs, like metal gigs and rock gigs, when the pit is going off, or they do this thing called the wall of death, where basically like it all separates and then you run in. Like I'm right in the front of that. Like I'm going hell for it. I love it. Like, but from the outside, people who maybe don't know that genre of music are like, "Oh my God, this is brutal," and it's so like, but it isn't. It really isn't. They couldn't be like a better bunch of people. Like
they're all softies.
Aye, really. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, they are. It's a good genre to get into. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was a great question. So now, do you have a question for our next guest, which will not be answered until the next season? So we'll have to put it on ice.
Right. So I don't. I should have probably had one for you. I don't. But
you can pause. We can you can think about one.
If I can email you one, we can come up with like with the wonders of technology. I can let you know after this. But because I want to come up with something really interesting, but I can't really. In fact, right, okay. So do you know what?
It's my fault because I don't think I prepared you on this.
No, it's okay. So I was on one of your talks recently with Simon Dixon from Dixon Baxi, and I asked a question, and it's actually resulted in him saying that I could have some time with him, which I'm going to actually speak to him. So
Amazing.
I'll ask that same question that I asked him, which was, if you say your agency or your studio or you're a one-man band, right? If you were a genre of music, what would it be? And what would be the name of your first album, like your debut album? So like that would be my question.
It's a brilliant question, and it really made Simon smile, didn't it? And won you a prize. So
yeah.
Fantastic. All right, I will put that on ice, and I will put that to our next guest. Chris, will you please look after yourself? Try not to injure yourself.
I'll get my toe fixed.
And just be wonderful you, and carry on remembering to, like me, have that balance, which is not always easy to achieve. But make sure you look after yourself.
Will do. Thanks so much, Katy, and thanks so much on behalf of like everybody in the design community for everything that you do with Creative Boom, like the platform, the podcast, everything. Like it really is. It's incredible for people in terms of like inspiration, the showcasing that you do for everybody. So keep it up, and I'm loving the new vlogs as well. I'm
wow.
Every week just dying to tune in to see it. So excellent.
What a way to end the season. Chris's story is proof that even the hardest chapters can shape us into stronger, kinder, more compassionate people. It's not an easy decision to make. You can find yourself venturing into the darkness, but it's good to keep looking towards the light and keep going, no matter how many things life throws at us. I loved how open and generous Chris was in sharing his story, and I hope you found something in it too to carry into your own creative journey. Thank you so much for listening, not just today, but all season long. Whether you're a long-time listener or this was your first episode, I'm so grateful you're part of this Creative Boom community. I'll be back soon with a brand new season, more guests, more honesty, more creative magic from brilliant people. But until then, take care of yourself, rest up, and keep making work that means something. I'm Katy Cowan, and this has been the Creative Boom Podcast.